Hello guys and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the start of the 2025 NHL season, which has been bananas so far. We have seen so many good games already, but with the first week of NHL action underway, what are my biggest takeaways? What are my early impressions? Well, make sure you watch till the end because we're going to be breaking down all the key points to the season so far, and hit that subscribe button if you're new for more hockey content just like this, presented by BetUS. Now, we got a lot to talk about in today's video, including one bonus takeaway just for you guys at the end of the video. But for my first takeaway for the NHL season so far, Lane Hutson is legit. Now, if you've watched Lane Hutson at all over the last couple of years, you would have already known that. But now the greater NHL world gets to see his greatness. A lot of people out there are clowning his skating style and everything, which is kind of funny, I will admit, but he definitely drives results. You can't really deny it. Already at 20 years old, Lane Hutson has been one of the best players on the Habs to start out the season. In 3 games, has 4 assists for 4 points and just been brilliant offensively. I also want to say, if you're looking at expected goals in all situations, Lane Hutson right now leads the Habs in expected goals against per 60, meaning that so far, analytically, he's not just been the best Habs defenseman defensively, but the best Habs player defensively. Not what I would have expected. Now, I don't know if Lane Hutson is going to keep that up. There has been a couple of gaffes here and there, but that's part of Lane Hutson's game. He's not going to be this uber great physical defenseman or anything. The bread and butter is the passing, the confidence, the ability to work a power play, which, even though Matheson is there, really makes his power play chances lesser than it should be. But still, what Lane Hutson has been able to accomplish so far with Montreal has been superb. But you also combine what he was able to do last year, and in his first 5 games for the Habs, he has 6 assists for 6 points, about as good as you could have expected Lane Hutson to do. He's right there in contention for the Calder Trophy, and right now, among the leaders for it. I would still probably give it to Logan Stankoven if the Calder Trophy was awarded today, but Hutson is right up there. And also keep in mind, he's not even on the top pair right now, playing with David Savard on that left side, and he's not even on the first power play. Famously, of course, Mike Matheson stealing that spot up to this point. I think it's pretty clear who is the best power play defenseman of Montreal, and his name is not Mike. Now, for the rest of the season, the trajectory is pretty interesting. I mean, he's somebody that I would have originally said would be around 40, 50 points in his rookie year, which is still pretty fantastic. Now there might be the potential to get over that if he continues this type of play, maybe even 55, 60 points, which, as a rookie defenseman, that's as good as you're gonna get. When was the last time Montreal had a puck mover on this level? PK Subban, maybe? It's been a long time for Montreal, but Lane Hutson is living up to all of the hype. Speaking of Montreal, we're going to make a couple picks here on BetUS, today's sponsor. Right now, for the game later against the Penguins, they're at plus 120 for the money line, and also at over 6 goals. I think it's going to be a bit of a circus game, so I'm going to put $5 down to win 15, and we'll see how it goes by the end. But if you guys want to sign up to BetUS to make your own picks on different NHL games, make sure you go in the description and use code YouTube150. We'll get a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, and 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits after that. But if you don't want to go in the NHL, you can also go for the Stanley Cup winners. You can go for the PWHL. You can also go for the OHL as well. Lots of options for really every single hockey league out there. And today is the best day to get started with BetUS. And thank you to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. Now, getting back into the video, let's talk about my second takeaway for the NHL season so far. Moving on from Lane Hutson, Alexandar Georgiev is just not the guy for the Colorado Avalanche. I hate to say it because he can be a lot of fun, but already at 28 years old, I think Georgiev is starting to become a little bit washed at this point. He had a solid first year in Colorado like I expected, but since then, we've seen him just get worse and worse. Last year, he took a big step down from a .918 save percentage to an .897 save percentage, and really wasn't that much greater in the playoffs, the exact same .897 save percentage. But you can see what his starters look like to start out the year. In 2 games, he has a 7.75 goals against average, a 6.80 save percentage, and somehow he hasn't lost both of his games. I mean, it's insane how bad Georgiev has been so far, and he's a big reason why Colorado's season hasn't been up to snuff so far. What I'm showing you guys right here are the 5 worst goaltenders so far to start out the season. A couple of them, like Silovs and Hutson, have only played a game, but these are the worst in terms of goals saved above expected, so they're in the negative. Right now, Alexandar Georgiev is by far the worst, with a minus 5.79. So in terms of the expected goals for the Avs, Georgiev has allowed 5 more than an average goaltender in this situation, which is pretty remarkable. If you put the 2 games together, that's in both games 2.5 goals more than he should have allowed in both of those games, which is insane to do. And what's funny about this is not even 2 games into the season, Georgiev has been so not it for Colorado that they went out and claimed Kaapo Kähkönen on waivers, which I think is a pretty good pickup, all things considered. He was somebody that for New Jersey last year had a pretty good stretch and was okay for San Jose in parts. He could be all right for Colorado in this new system that obviously is able to really have the puck a lot of the time, be able to use their speed. In Kähkönen's case, he could have a major upgrade there. But the fact that Colorado this early into the season is already claiming a goaltender, especially with the limited cap space they have too, not a great sign. But I mean, Georgiev hasn't really given them much reason to be optimistic, and it's not like last year was fantastic and this first couple of games are just a blip. He was already pretty average last season. Somehow Colorado was so good that they were able to get him some wins around him. 38 wins last season still, but he was abysmal, and especially to start out games was not what Colorado needed. And already this season we're seeing not even the same Georgiev. He's even worse. Now going on to my third takeaway for the NHL season so far, we're going to go on to my favorite team in the Dallas Stars, and this is the big one for me. This was one that I was concerned about heading to the season, and that is that Nils Lundkvist so far looks to be having a bit of a breakout year. Now we're only a few games into the season so far for the Stars, and Dumba and Lyubushkin have been okay. I'm going to wait to see about them and if they're actually good enough, but so far it's been all right. Maybe if we make another video later down the line about impressions for every team, maybe those two and my doubts about them, we'll talk about it. But in Nils Lundkvist's case, he was somebody that was worried about how he would fit into the future of the Stars defense, and it's been pretty good to say the least. You can see at 24 years old, he was a former 28th overall pick by the Rangers, and he's somebody that's been up and down in his developments, has had some hype here and there, but when he's come to North America, there's just been a lack of consistency, especially on defense. He's somebody that has had his moments on offense, but hasn't been nearly good enough to secure a full-time spot. We talked about Eric Brandstrom a week ago. Lundkvist is not too far behind, at least coming into the season, in terms of actual play at the NHL level. You can see last year when he did play, he ended up getting a career high in points, 19 points in 59 games, and played 12 games in the playoffs, which was a big step up from him. But I really wanted to see him secure a spot on this team, be an everyday defenseman, and he was pegged to be on that bottom pair. Now, here's the thing. You're looking at it, and it's like, oh yeah, he has 0 points in 3 games. Offense wasn't really my concern for Lundkvist. We know what he can do with his puck-moving ability. We know what he can be when his confidence is high. But what I wanted to see was him be a little bit more adaptable, use his physical play, be more confident. Those 3 things to me were going to be key for Lundkvist this year to be an everyday NHLer and establish himself as that. And so far, I think he has. You look at the Dallas Stars and their expected goals against per 60 stats, at least at 5-on-5 so far. And you can see Nils Lundkvist is 3rd best on the team and number 1 among D so far. There's still been some finicky moments here and there, but the fact that Lundkvist has been able to show himself in a more physical position on that bottom pair is huge for his career. Now going on to my 4th takeaway of the NHL season so far, we're going to go on to another young player making his mark in the NHL this year. Let's talk about Dylan Guenther, because my main takeaway is that, this dude's going to be contending for the Rocket Richard someday. We talked about Guenther quite a bit on this channel. We talked about him quite a bit in the Utah video we made recently, but Guenther is somebody that I have loved quite a bit, going back to his 2021 draft days as this great sniper who could just do so much in so little time, and he's somebody that's developed really well throughout Arizona and Utah over the past few seasons, whether it be in the NHL, the AHL. He's always seemed to show well offensively, and so far he is continuing that, and at a major level. In 3 games so far for Utah, has 5 goals for 5 points. Right now, I mean, Cy Young is basically his. Guenther has always been a premier goal scorer. His shot has always been prolific, but I think what Guenther has been able to add, and it was something we touched on in that Utah video, was more physicality, more adaptability, getting under pressure, and that's something that's really allowed him to become this amazing NHL player. Not just a prospect, not just somebody that's doing well in the AHL, but an NHLer for sure, and Utah has been using him perfectly well, setting up in so many ways, and when you set up Guenther basically in any position of the offensive end, he's able to rocket that thing, and already at 21 years old has been able to prove that. I think someday, I don't know if he'll be good enough to win the Rocket Richard, considering some of the goal scorers we have in the league right now, but I think he could absolutely be in the mix and could be top 5 in the goal scoring for years to come. If he continues his trajectory, I think he could be on that level of Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, and Logan Cooley in that star trajectory. Maybe not Nick Schmaltz, but in Keller and Cooley's case, I think Gunther could be right there in terms of offensive impact for this Utah team going forward. It is an exciting time, man, and Gunther is a major part of it. Next up for my fifth takeaway, we're going to go on to the New Jersey Devils, and my takeaway from them so far is, man, have those depth moves been amazing so far. Now, I thought New Jersey had a pretty great offseason, and a lot of that was because of the depth that they added. They obviously have a great core of offensive players like Hughes, like Brock, like Meyer, like Hischier, like Dougie Hamilton, Nemeth, Hughes onto that defense. But what I thought they did was bringing more of an overall presence there, not just with the Jacob Markstrom trade, but you look at the forward group. You got players like Stefan Noes and Paul Cotter who have been brilliant for them. And also on the defense, Jonathan Kovacevic, I thought was so underrated in his time for Montreal, and he has been one of New Jersey's best players. Now, as I'm recording this, New Jersey is playing their game against Utah, so we'll see how it shakes out after this. But look at the top 3 scores for the Devils for their first 4 games. Paul Cotter, Stefan Nason, Eric Holla, all 3 of those guys on that bottom 6 doing incredibly well. But you again go through Jonathan Kovacevic as well right there. Seamus Casey has had a good start. Tomas Tatar has looked pretty good. Really, it's been the top end guys that have kind of been iffy for New Jersey. Jack Hughes of only 2 assists, 2 points in 4 games. Nico Hischier, 2 points. I mean, Timo Meyer is looking better, but only has 3 points in 4 games. The depth so far has been carrying this Devils team. Now, I didn't think that they would carry them, but it's really nice to see that New Jersey's depth has taken a bigger step forward. And naturally, when guys like Hughes, like Hischier, start performing to their actual level, and that depth keeps firing on all cylinders, this Devils team is going to be scary offensively, and it's going to be rebounding in a major way. That's what I wanted to see out of him, and so far it looks like that will be the case. And Jacob Markstrom has been a little bit iffy so far. He hasn't been unbelievable or anything, and once I think he turns it on, New Jersey's going to be in a good spot. Going on to my next takeaway here, Edmonton, can you ever start the season off well? Gosh dang, man. The Oilers, in every way possible, will never make things easy, will they? To start out this season, the Edmonton Oilers are 0-3-0. They even had a good opportunity in that Flames game to capitalize it, to seize the opportunity to get their first win of the year, and choked it all away. The Flames, by the way, have been a real impression so far this season. But for Edmonton, man, to start out this season so badly again, it's like, okay, I guess we're going to do this whole thing again, aren't we? And what do y'all know? It seems like the goaltending hasn't been consistent for the Edmonton Oilers. Is this like the first time that's ever happened? No. No, it's not. I mean, I didn't think that Stuart Skinner was going to be this much of a problem, but an .805 save percentage to start the season, you're not exactly giving us confidence here, dude. The defense also has been a major problem where, newsflash, Darnell Nurse isn't good. I mean, it seems like the same things that we keep talking about for Edmonton that continue to be problems. I don't think, like last year, it'll be detrimental to them or anything, but it would have been nice to win the division this year. I mean, that's something that Edmonton has never been able to do in this current era. Start out the season well, man. Come on. It's not even like your schedule is that bad. Your first 3 games were at home. You got trounced versus the Winnipeg Jets. You lose 5-2 to the Chicago Blackhawks, and then lose 4-1 to the Flames. The Flames are kind of godly this year, it looks like, but still. Edmonton, whoop yourselves back to shape or else. Which, talking about that Calgary game, leads me on to my next takeaway here. Rasmus Andersson, folks, he is going to get a major haul this trade deadline if this continues. Now, I don't see Calgary continuing this type of success, but what I could see them doing is being a little more competitive than some people expected. I mean, I had them missing the playoffs, but I didn't see them being a 50-point team or anything, or a 60-point team like some people had them. The Flames still have some quality players here and there. Rasmus Andersson is among the best, but right now with an expiring contract of $4.5 million, already it's a great contract, but look at his start to the season. In 3 games, he has 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points, and is on track to put up one of his best offensive years. As you can see, his career high was back in 2022. I mean, that's a lot of career highs for a lot of Flames back then, but he got 50 points, 46 assists in 82 games. If he's even above that trajectory towards the trade deadline, the Flames are going to get a pretty penny for him, and that seems to be what's happening so far. The Flames have just been getting these scrappy wins. They've been able to make it work so far, and Andersson has been a big part of that. And for my next takeaway, we're going right to the same team. Anthony Mantha has been a brilliant free agent pickup for this Calgary Flames team. He was somebody that I wasn't quite sure how he performed in Calgary. He seems to have some on and off moments, but to start the season, he has certainly been on. In 3 games so far, he has 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points, which looks pretty good, but The advanced stats are even better too, and 5-on-5 expected goals for per 60. He's third on the Flames right now with well above a 3, which is pretty great to see out of him. He's somebody that always has potential, always has this great talent to be good. But I think for Calgary, he's somebody that could also be juicing up his value quite a bit. Now, I actually realized that for Andersson, his deal is for this year and next, which honestly might bring even more value to a potential Andersson deal, but it gives the Flames more flexibility whether they want to make a deal in the offseason or at this deadline. There's a lot of options for them there. But in Mantha's case, he is an expiring UFA. Had a little bit of a tryout deal, an approve-it deal with the Flames, signing for just $3.5 million, and so far he has absolutely been proving it. If the Flames do decide to continue on with this rebuild, trade both Mantha and Andersson at the deadline, and both these guys continue to have the seasons that they're having, there's going to be a lot of picks, a lot of prospects going back to the Flames, and this could maybe be the last offseason where they're fully tearing it down, which I think, especially in Andersson's case, would be smart. He's somebody, though, that does have quite a bit of leadership. I do love how he puts himself out there on the ice, so maybe he's somebody that the Flames want to keep long-term. Mantha, though, I think he's just as good as God, and I think Mantha probably knows that too. Now going on to my 9th takeaway for the start of the season. This is one that I don't like to see for the team, but prospect-wise, I really do like to see it. At number 9, my 9th takeaway is that Joel Blomqvist is already Pittsburgh starter. At 22 years old, Blomqvist has been one of the better goalie prospects over the past few years. He was a second-round pick by the Penguins back in 2020, and since then had put some magical seasons in the league. I mean, 2022, he had a .940 save percentage in 20 games, just ludicrous numbers. Then we saw him carry over that to North America in 2024, having a great start to his AHL campaign, getting a .921 save percentage in 45 games. This year, I thought he would be in the AHL again, as we saw Nedeljkovic and Jari fighting for the spots on Pittsburgh's net. But Blomqvist came in, won a spot, and has been winning it ever since. He hasn't been incredible or anything, but a .906 save percentage has been clear of what the other Penguins goaltenders have looked like, and he's in a position where I could see Pittsburgh trying to hold on to him with just how much he has solidified their net. And I hope they do, because Blomqvist is the truth. Whether it's this year or next, though, he'll be the starter eventually for the Penguins, which is crazy to think about. For my 10th and penultimate takeaway for the NHL season so far, I was right about Cole Caulfield, folks. Now, one of my bold predictions was that he'd be at the top, one of the top players on the goal scoring leaderboard, 40, 45 goals. Even made a joke about it. I mean, maybe not even a joke at this point, about a week ago, 50 goals for Cole Caulfield. But the dude has been electric to start out the season for the Habs. You can see in 3 games, he has 4 goals, 4 points. We can't all be Dylan Gunther and be up to that 5-goal level, but Cole Caulfield has certainly been unbelievable so far for Montreal, looking like he's back in the best form for himself goal scoring wise, which is great to see. After last year, he played a full 82 games, but only got 28 goals, looked a little bit off. He did make some big improvements defensively and with his playmaking, but I want to see that goal scoring get back to the Cole Caulfield level that I know he could be at, and so far to start out the season, it has. That's also helped by how solid the playmaking has been from players like Slavkovsky and just the players around him in general. But Caulfield is making the most of his opportunities, and that's something that I wanted to see him get back to after some of the struggles of last year. I love that the struggles for Caulfield was only getting 28 goals in his 22-year-old season, but that's the world we're living in. Caulfield is going to be brilliant this season, folks, and if you have him on your fantasy team, I'm pretty jealous, though I have Gunther on mine, so I'll take it. Now going on to the final, as I promised, takeaway of the NHL season, the bonus 11th takeaway of the season so far, the totally serious, totally not kidding at all takeaway. At number 11, is Austin Matthews washed? Like, can we have this we need to have a conversation here, folks. We need to have a conversation. I mean, the fact that he has 0 points in 3 games, you basically might as well cut him, Toronto. I'm kind of embarrassed that you haven't already. Seriously? I mean, not all of us can be Cole Caulfield, obviously, but really, Austin? Really? Anyways, those are my takeaways for the NHL season so far. Some early impressions for the start of the season, and I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and comment down below your takeaways from the season so far. Which players, what teams have proved you wrong, proved you right, what has been your biggest surprises, biggest disappointments? Let me know all your thoughts down below. Of course, make sure you share the video with all the hockey fans you guys know online and click on this card for all of my rankings content right in one playlist. And of course, make sure you sign up to BetUS today using code YouTube150. And I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you have a great hockey day, and goodbye.